As Space Shuttle Atlantis makes its way southbound on State Road 3 at Kennedy Space Center in Florida, news media are gathered to document the event, as well as a helicopter that is documenting the entire move and all of the day's events. This will be providing some spectacular views of Atlantis as it makes its way from the Vehicle Assembly Building in the background to the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. You can hear the helicopter flying around as Atlantis makes its way southbound on State Road 3. This is the same road that astronauts rode in the Astrovan headed the other direction as they made their way from the operations and checkout facility to the launch pad to begin their space shuttle missions. Atlantis is reversing the route and heading in the general area of the operations and checkout building as it goes to the industrial area, where a parade and signing ceremony are planned for a little later this morning. Space Shuttle Atlantis, making its way from Kennedy Space Center's Vehicle Assembly Building to the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. As it nears the State Road 405 overpass, it will go the wrong way on the off-ramp and go up and head toward the Kennedy Industrial area. And that's where, at about 9:45 this morning, a parade is planned that will take it to a point in front of the Base Operations Building and the Central Instrumentation Facility, where a stage has been set up. Atlantis will provide a perfect backdrop for a signing ceremony at which NASA Administrator Charles Bolden and Kennedy Director Bob Cabana will sign the retirement certificate empowering Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex to take control for public display of Atlantis, which will remain under title to NASA, the only one of the 4 space shuttles on public display that will remain the property of NASA. Atlantis flew 33 missions into space. Its inaugural flight, October 3rd, 1985, was STS-51J, commanded by Bo Bobko. He will be here today participating in this signing ceremony, along with the commander of Atlantis' final mission, STS-135, Chris Ferguson. Between those missions in 1985 and 2011, Atlantis deployed the Magellan probe bound for Venus, deployed the Galileo probe on its way to Jupiter. From its payload bay, it deployed the Compton Gamma Ray Observatory, the second of NASA's great observatories. It deployed the Tethered Satellite System, which was a joint NASA and Italian Space Agency experiment. On STS-71, it made the historic first shuttle docking with the Russian space station Mir, the 100th U.S. crewed spaceflight. It carried the U.S. Destiny Laboratory to the International Space Station and assembled it as part of the International Space Station. And it performed the final shuttle servicing mission to NASA's Hubble Space Telescope, STS-125. Aside from this 9.8-mile journey today, Atlantis traveled 125,935,769 miles in space over 307 days, 4,848 orbits, and it carried more than 200 crew members into space. Atlantis, part of the workhorse space shuttle fleet that for 30 years championed America's human spaceflight program. And now Atlantis will be on permanent display for visitors for years to come to learn from its accomplishments and gain inspiration when they visit the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex. Space Shuttle Atlantis making good time as it makes its way to the industrial area of Kennedy Space Center. The parade is scheduled for 9:45 this morning, and the signing ceremony at 10 o'clock. While Atlantis is parked for a brief moment as it makes its way to the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, let's take a look not only here at NASA's historic shuttle past, but let's take a look now at what NASA has planned for the future.